it, people? And welcome to part 2 of my Q&A. Yeah, you remember that time when I asked you to send me questions so that I could answer them in my very first Q&A? Yeah, well, I got so many bloody questions that I decided to split the Q&A into 2 parts. And the first one was a very miscellaneous Q&A, and the second one, which is this one, is a very Korean Q&A. So if you subscribe to me for all things Korea, well, you're in luck, because today's Q&A is all about Korea. Someone told me that my intros and my outros were too long. You guys and your criticisms, cheap. So shall we just get the show on the road? Simone Govender, we're starting with you today. What enticed you to teach in South Korea and not pursue a career in journalism? You know, I don't even remember telling you people that I studied journalism. Well, let me just tell you exactly what happened. Basically, I graduated from Rhodes University, which is a school of journalism, and immediately after I graduated, I got a job interview. To cut a very long story short, I didn't get the job. In fact, the interviewer told me straight out, flat out, she just told me, you know what, you look like you're not even ready for life yet. And I was like, jeepers, you know, sometimes honesty is not the best policy. So after that, I was really down. A few friends were talking to me about South Korea, so I had Korea in the back of my mind, and I didn't even give myself a second chance at finding another job. I was like, bugger it. I got into a plane and I went to South Korea. And since then, I fell out of love with the journalism. I love creative writing, don't get me wrong, but news and politics and all that sort of stuff, And now I'm just really happy that that job interview was unsuccessful, because it led me to Korea. Number 2, were you nervous the first time you traveled to South Korea? Yeah, I was pooping in my pants. It was the first time that I was traveling to Asia, number 1. It was the first time I was traveling by myself. I was also going into South Korea like completely blindfolded. I didn't know what to expect. I actually did not Google anything. I really smart, I know, really smart. So I had no idea what to expect. I just went. Yeah, I was terrified. I won't lie. Could you share your most embarrassing moment in Korea? Oh, my most embarrassing moment so far in Korea was in the classroom. I planned my lesson. I prepare PowerPoint presentations to go with my lesson. I was doing a lesson on clothing, I think, but on the one slide, instead of writing what color are my socks, instead of typing an S for socks, I typed a C. So I wrote, what color are my, And yes, it was pretty embarrassing, especially because my co-teacher was in the classroom at the time, but I skipped the slide very quickly and moved on. The kids obviously had no idea about the problem, but I knew and I definitely think my co-teacher realized. It was pretty embarrassing. Obviously, I had something else on my mind that day. Jeepers! I was obviously half asleep when I was typing. I don't know. Okay, needless to say, these days I double check all my slides for spelling errors. Number 5, do you ever get homesick? The answer is no. Teaching keeps you on your toes. When I'm not teaching, I have YouTube. When I don't do either of those things, I'm traveling around, going to different cities. There are so many things to do in Korea. Like, if my life was terrible in Korea, I think I would obviously get homesick, but I don't have time to get homesick, really. I obviously miss my family. I miss elements of South Africa, but I'm not crying about it every day. Definitely not, no. Sajna Jagasa, will you maybe come back to teach? I can't, because I don't have a teaching degree, a teaching license. I'm not a qualified teacher. And even if I did, no. Teaching in South Africa and teaching in Korea two different games, in my opinion anyway. If I ever come back to South Africa for good, it's definitely to do something in writing or YouTube. What grade do you teach? I am a middle school teacher. If you are South African and you're watching this, middle school is basically grade 7, grade 8 and grade 9. It's the perfect level, in my opinion. It's the best level. The kids are at a perfect age where you can have a conversation with them, joke around with them. You're not like babysitting them. I absolutely love that level. Johanna E.G. says, did you have any teaching experience before teaching in Korea? The only kind of teaching related thing that I did before coming to Korea was my TEFL, which is teaching English as a foreign language, I think. That thing is compulsory. You've got to do that course before you come. Yeah, that's about it. Also, how did the Lonely Chair project start? Basically, what happened was, when I got to Korea, I noticed a very strange phenomenon. I noticed there were many abandoned chairs everywhere in Korea. Always just like one random chair, and they were always battered and bruised and broken and just very sad looking. They would be like submerged in a river. They would be on a mountain. They would be in the middle of a field somewhere. They would be overturned on the roadside. Sometimes you will find one that's chained to a light pole. Anyway, so I found it really strange. I started taking photos of it, and I just became really passionate about these lonely chairs. I call them the lonely chairs. I made it into my little project. You know, one thing led to another, and before I knew it, there was a chair tattooed to my wrist. Victoria Heater says, where did you teach the first time in Korea? Oh my word, you're bringing back memories. Hey Victoria, jeepers. My first little city that I worked in Korea, I consider my hometown. It is a tiny, quaint little city called Gyeongju. It is hands down the best city in Korea. Don't even argue with me. If you live in Korea and you haven't been to Gyeongju, well, what the hell are you doing? Hey, just go. Get on the KTX now and go. How many schools are you teaching at this time? This time I'm teaching at 2 middle schools, and they're 2 wonderful middle schools. I consider myself really lucky. Also, the best place to buy stuffed animals in Korea so I can get my own Harry. Oh my god, close your ears, Harry. How dare you, Victoria? How dare you call him a stuffed animal? Didn't I tell you last week that I found him wandering on the streets alone and sick and malnourished? I told you I adopted him. Jean-Ray Marais. Hey, Jean-Ray Marais. Says, are you still at the same school, public or private? I have always been at a public school. Basically, what happened was my first 3 years in Korea, I was at the same school, and then I went home to South Africa, and then I came back, and then I went to another school, and then I went back to South Africa, and then I came back to Korea, and I am now on the island at a school. And I spent a year at that school, and I've just renewed my contract, so now I'm doing my 2nd year at my island school. So that's how many years? 1, 2, 3, carry the 1. Yes, this will be my 6th year. Very good maths, Sam, very good maths. Pat on the back. How long did you initially plan to stay in Korea, and how long do you plan to stay now? Yeah, when I initially moved to Korea, it was just gonna be a gap year. It was gonna be one little gap year. 6 years later, and here we are. And how long do you plan to stay now? Well, yeah, I'm done with making plans, hey? If I stay forever, then I stay forever. If I go home next year, then I go home next year. I don't know. Which kind of answers Katie's question. What up, Katie? Number 2, what's one thing you would change about the Korean culture? I would not change anything about the Korean culture. You're making me sound like a white colonialist. I would never change people's culture just because some things are different to, you know, things in my culture. I still wouldn't change it, like the slurping and the freedom to burp at the table. Yeah, I may not do some of those things in my culture, but I still wouldn't change it, because if I change those things, then what's the point of experiencing a new culture, you know? And then everyone's culture is going to be the same, and then it's so boring. What have you learned about yourself after living or teaching in Korea? I think the most important thing that I've learned about myself living in Korea, I had no idea, but I'm surprisingly adaptable. I was the most narrow-minded, close-minded person back before I came to Korea. I had no idea I was this open to accepting and learning about a new culture. Doesn't it just show you something very interesting? And that is how easy it is to embrace a new culture, to accept a new culture, to learn about a new culture, if you're just open-minded enough, which is something I think we need to learn in 2017 with good old Trumpy. Just people in general, really. Embracing different cultures, it's a lot easier than we think. Ricky G. Lemus and Shania Harris, they're basically asking about North Korea and good old Kim Jong-un, and whether it's safe. How do I put this? Yes, there are tensions, but I've lived here now for 5 going on to 6 years now. I'm still alive, okay? I can walk around outside and I can show you that Korean people are just walking around all hunky-dory, like not a care in the world. Touch wood, but like everything is still good. The media, they love so much. It's their favorite pastime to blow things up. Especially this story, they love it now, especially now with old Trumpy, because it sells, it creates a lot of fear, and that brings in a lot of clicks. I don't live every day panicking about North Korea all the time. No, I don't even think about it. Things are that normal in South Korea. I will never forget this one time CNN reported some tensions again in North Korea. And at that very moment, while I'm reading that article, in our teacher's office, the teachers, they were busy having a birthday party in the teacher's office and eating fried chicken and just laughing and having a good time. Like, it was that normal. Having said that, I was speaking to one of my colleagues the other day, and she said these days she is a little more worried just because of Trump. She said when Barack Obama was here, she said they didn't really worry because Barack Obama is very mature and he knows how to like talk and calm people down. Whereas now you've got Kim Jong-un, and now you've also got Trump. She actually said this to me. They're both like children, and that's why they're a little bit more worried now, because you just have no idea how they're going to react. She said with kids, you just don't know. They can do stupid things and they can react really stupidly. And we've seen Trump is very tit for tat. He does things very tit for tat. If you make him angry, if you say one thing that to criticize him, he just retaliates without even thinking. She said now they're a little more worried because they both share this characteristic. But still, I would say things are okay. And to be honest with you, like, I could live here in Korea where these tensions are high, or I could live in South Africa where the crime rate is so high that people are getting shot and killed every day. I love you, South Africa. I love my country, but let's be real. I still think I'm safer in Korea than in South Africa, to be honest. KJ Joe asks, do you ever find yourself using South African jargon, patkos, brai, etc. when conversing with Koreans? No, I have become really good at switching my South African on and off like a switch. So when I speak exclusively to South Africans, I will speak using South African jargon, as you put it. But when I'm speaking to a Korean or a foreigner who is not South African, I will switch it off so that they're not lost in the conversation. Having said this, there are 2 things that I just find so hard to control. I cannot switch them off, and that is just now and yeah. No matter what, I cannot stop saying those 2 things. Number 2, how is Cape Malay style food to Korean style, our curry versus their curry? I love you, Korea, but just don't make curry, Korea. Don't make curry, okay? So to answer your question, KJ Joe, definitely Cape Malay curry is infinitely better than Korean curry. But having said that, Durban curry is better than Cape Malay curry, but Cape Malay curry is better than Korean curry, but Durban curry is the best. Okay. Did I make that clear enough? Thomas Gim says, have you ever experienced racism in South Korea directly? The answer to that is no. People ask me this all the time as a person of color. On the contrary, Korean people have always been so kind and so welcoming and so warm to me. They're always wanting to learn about me and my culture and South Africa. Having said that, I'm not gonna say racism is absent. People have different experiences. I've spoken to maybe two people of color who have said that they have experienced some racism, but me directly, never. Chanel Peterson says, are you into K-pop? If yes, who? Also, when can we hang out? This is crazy, but like, even after 6 years, I've never gotten into K-pop. It's just not my thing. Oh, should I be saying this? But I sometimes pretend to be into K-pop. I like to playfully irritate my students by choosing a band that they don't like. So if they like EXO, then I will be like, no, BTS, no, BTS. Or if they like BTS, then I'll be like, no, EXO is the best, EXO is the best. Just to irritate them. Other than pretending to like BTS or EXO for my students, then no, I'm not into K-pop. Next, Fuentes. What's your favorite Korean dish? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. My favorite Korean dish is a dish called ori bulgogi. Ori bulgogi is basically, well, ori means duck, bul means fire, and gogi means meat. So it's basically like spicy duck. It's basically just, you know, duck and mixed with vegetables in the most amazing sauce. And it's spicy, of course, and that mixed with the rice. Oh, it's so good. And say hi to Harry the Hedgehog for me. Harry! Harry, say hi! Ah, but you're useless. Hey, God. The Tunes! What up, the Tunes? Have you cooked a Brioni in Korea? What you really should be asking is, have you cooked a Brioni? Full stop. And the answer is no. What do you think I am? Hey, you think I'm this Indian auntie who can cook Brioni? No, I'm not at that stage yet. I can barely cook a chicken curry and you're asking me if I can cook a Brioni. Next. Sporkses? You guys and your names. Hey Sam, I'm hoping to learn Korean. Can you speak Korean? I'm a beginner. What? Sam, you've been living there for 6 years? I know, it's embarrassing. I had very good intentions. I promise when I got to Korea, I got all the textbooks. I got this textbook that said, learn how to read Korean in 30 days. And that's exactly what I did. So I can read Korean. And it took me exactly 30 days. That textbook was very good at predicting things, hey? If you can speak Korean, how long does it take you to get to the stage where you can say enough to be able to communicate with non-English speaking Koreans? Okay. I'm at that stage where I have enough Korean to get me through life. When it comes to the complexities of the grammar and making like full complete sentences, forget it. But yeah, I'd say like after 1 or 2 years, I got to a stage where I was comfortable to just live life and not worry about not being able to communicate. I have promised myself to get back into Korean. I really need to get back into it. If you're watching this and you are coming to Korea to teach English, please don't be one of those foreigners who refuses to learn Korean. Please learn Korean. It helps so much and it shows that you are like wanting to embrace Korean culture. And Korean people, they get so happy when they see that you're trying to speak Korean. It just makes your life so much easier. Please do it. Just do it, okay? LK Venium. What up, LK Venium? Basically, is plastic surgery really popular in Korea? I would say it's relatively popular. It's definitely a thing in Korea, especially if you go to areas in Seoul, fancy areas in Seoul like Gangnam. If you go to Gangnam, you're gonna see plastic surgeries everywhere. You'll be going into the subway station leading up to Gangnam, and already they're advertising for plastic surgery in the subway. Yeah, it's not like every Korean person is walking around with something done to their face, no, but it's definitely a thing. W, just W, wow. Did you have your eyebrows tattooed in Korea? Oh my god! No, my eyebrows are real. What are you even talking about? Bruh, I don't need no tattooed eyebrows on my face. I got mine done, but it only lasted about 2 months. Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I guess you need to go and get it redone. Heather Jackson says, top 10 favorite things to do in Korea when you have downtime. I'm not gonna do 10 things just because ain't nobody got time, but I will say that best thing to do in Korea, for me anyway, is coffee shops. Coffee shop culture is a huge thing in Korea. Korea has the most amazing coffee shops, just the quirkiest, most creative coffee shops, and there are coffee shops everywhere in Korea. It's ridiculous. I wish this was a thing in South Africa. And Korea's coffee shops, they're just so much better than bloody Starbucks. Ugh. So, to answer your question, I sit in a lot of coffee shops, and they have 1,000,001 themed cafes in Korea. So you will have dog cafes and cat cafes, and bloody, I went to a sheep cafe where I had coffee and played with a bunch of sheep. They have raccoon cafes. I haven't been to the raccoon cafe just because I don't trust raccoons. There are board game cafes. You can go to a cafe and play unlimited board games. There are book cafes, study cafes. There's a Harry Potter cafe. I mean, come on. The last question goes to Lisa Marie King. I want to know if you've dated a Korean guy since you've been there. Ooh, getting into the nitty-gritty. But I'm sorry to disappoint you. My answer is no. So that's the end of that question. I haven't dated a Korean guy just because, you know, hashtag forever alone. But I think Korean guys are beautiful specimens. I personally love a guy who takes care of themselves and dresses really well. Korean guys are very good at taking care of themselves and dressing really well, especially if you go to Seoul. The Korean guys in Seoul, oh my lordy lord, are they beautiful or what? Honestly, I can't believe that no one's called the cops on me in Seoul yet, because I'm in Seoul just like... And that is about it. Thank you for participating in my very first Q&A. You know you're a YouTuber when you're doing a Q&A, hey? I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, give it a like. If you didn't like the video, give it a like. Don't forget to follow me on all the social medias. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. How many times must I tell you people this? Do you have amnesia or something? And I will see you next week with a new